Hello, I'm Anthony Hodgson, and in this short talk I'm going to introduce you to the core course on the approach and method that H3 Uni has developed as a contribution to a vision of a practical third horizon education. Let me explain the meaning of third horizon. The starting point is the accelerating demise of our dominant worldviews and way of life on our limited planet. The extractive and exploitative model is no longer congruent with a viable lifestyle for humanity. This is represented by the descending red line, the first horizon. Pockets of a viable and benign way of life that is renewable, resilient and ecological are emerging. The vision of one planet living is the green line of Horizon 3. Over time, it could gather strength and become congruent with the reality of the Anthropocene. However, the transformation from H1 to H3 is a massive global shift of the pattern of our lives, and the legacy methods of governance, cooperation, and awareness of Horizon 1 cannot do this. Yet those are what dominate our so-called educational system. So we need a Horizon 2, the blue line, which is able to handle the transformational journey. This predicament gives rise to three great tragedies which are unfolding. Firstly, the tragedy of the commons. Secondly, the tragedy of the horizons. And thirdly, the tragedy of consciousness. The tragedy of the commons points out the social structure in which individual users of a common good, acting without regulation for that common good, end up destroying the very resource they are exploiting. This principle applies right up to the planetary level and leads to the breaking of the planetary limits for survival. The tragedy of horizons points to the domination of short-term and expedient interests, which are unable to take into account the deeper systemic structures that are distorted and damaged by ignoring them. This results in decisions which take no regard of the long term and of the present trends that are eroding the viability of society. For example, taking the premium required to ensure resilience as immediate profit. There are three aspects of the tragedy of consciousness. Firstly, the way our brilliance at managing the complicated blinds us from seeing how to manage the complex. Secondly, the way our quest for rationality has blinded us to our real presence in the world and our effect on it. Thirdly, the way cultural conditioning is preventing us from releasing the creativity needed to mitigate and transcend our predicament, of which the climate emergency and the pandemic are but symptoms. This ensures that humanity continues to sleepwalk into the first two tragedies. The development of shared wisdom capable of exploring new paradigms and worldviews is crucially needed to be able to address the mess and find a way to surviving, let alone thriving. The quality of wisdom, or better, wise agency, is an elusive quality if we remain stuck in our usual ways of managing things. We need to create new ways of evoking this mutual quality of life to create a transformative field. This field has three components: It has the personal engagement of being at your best. It has the power of a coherent group, for example, singing in the choir, playing a game of football. Whatever it is, with that sense of being together, and a congruence of shared method and practice that matches the complexity of the real task. This is a universal structure behind all the various individual H3 Uni methods that will be introduced. Each one of them is in some way allowing us to develop a mutual quality. The idea of a mutual quality of wisdom sits in the middle and is evoked. So all of them have inherent in them that core quality of evoking wisdom. It is important to clarify the difference between wisdom and cleverness. We can be clever and be right about something, but without doing anything about it. However, if we're in a particular place at a particular time and faced with a situation where we have to act, the outcome is mutually emergent. So wisdom in that sense is always existential, because it's dealing with something in the flow of being, in the flow of existing individually and together. This means that we need to learn to make transformational journeys together. Such journeys have a deep underlying structure, reflected in mythology and in subconscious archetypes, but also in lived experience. This is a typical form of such a journey. There are 8 stages and 3 thresholds. Each step has a different quality of experience, and each threshold is a moment of stronger decision and commitment. The slide presents this as an individual journey, but we can be substituted for I and become a mutual journey of emergent wisdom. So what is the urgent journey that we humans need to make at this time? Here is a representation of the transformation task. A reintegration of humanity with the earth and the earth with humanity is needed. This is a task for all of us, but we need personal scale engagement that can work on the challenges according to the triad of emergent wisdom. We picture that this requires tackling 5 tasks with 5 co-creative methods and skills. We need better holistic understanding of the planet on which we live and how its various systems and needs are structured. We need to take a long view well integrated into the present through future consciousness. We need powerful methods of co-creating repatterning of worldviews and methods that can grasp the complexity. The penalty of transformative ideas for action is that they evoke resistance and opposition. Yet we only have one planet, so somehow we must make changes and all get along together sufficiently. This requires the skill of navigating dilemmas. Carrying through the transformation process makes the demand for concerted deepening of wise agency, which can align people whilst embracing diversity. There are 5 requirements then that need appropriate methods. We start with placing the focal task of our concern in a wider holistic and systemic planetary context. Then we need to compile an initial vision of a transformed situation to fit the emerging conditions. That needs then the creative thinking and action ideas, a repatterning for transformation. This has to be placed in the context of society, where we work out how to navigate the tensions and dilemmas between the old and the new. And then we need to strengthen a basis for wise collaboration, integrating multiple perspectives. These requirements are met by the 5 H3 Uni core methods. Firstly, there is the world system that we use as a mandala to understand the complexity better of the total system. The Three Horizons method that evokes future consciousness and links the visionary future with the present moment. The hexagon clustering, which enables us to share and grasp complexity and repattern it. The dilemma resolution and navigation method, which gives us a way of steering through the clashing values that inevitably transformation evokes. And the wisdom wheel, which is a way we can strengthen our collaborative teamwork and resolve to get the results that we need. In this, the use of visual methods releases us from the limitations of purely verbal conversation by significantly increasing the space within which the group can hold the framing structure and simultaneously explore their own degree of convergence or divergence. Tougher to carry out virtually online, but nevertheless possible. So the program that takes us through this comprises 7 2-hour sessions with a mix of teaching, facilitating, and reflecting. Over the duration of the course, even a diverse group of strangers can get an experience of the emergent wisdom triangle. If this course appeals to you, a registration link with dates and times and a fee is on the page which holds this video. I look forward to you joining us on the journey. Thank you.